Today we are talking about domestic violence and how you can break the silence if you're going through any form of abuse, whether it's a female or a male perpetrator. And before we went to the break, we were speaking to Veri. You're quite brave. You were going into your story. Now, this was kind of like a route, and I'm sure it sprung up into all the different kind of relationships that you must have had, in, you know, going onwards. How did it affect your relationship? Because you said afterwards you left with someone. So what happened there?
Like you were saying, it affected all areas of my life. My relationship with myself. I hated myself. I hated women. Because you know, anyone that reminds me of my mother, I hated them. I hated. You know, I didn't hate men because I wasn't really abused with a man or whatever. My dad was like my hero. So being in this relationship, I did everything. You know, I was very submissive. I did everything. I would cook, I would do everything because I wanted to be married. I wanted to just leave that, you know, leave my past behind and just be married and just be with him. So, but, you know, still I was very insecure. I was very, very insecure in that relationship I was in. You know, I was easily influenced. I was influenced by him. I started to smoke. I started to drink a little bit, even though I didn't like to drink that much. But, you know, he introduced me to all these things, and I would just follow, you know, because I just wanted to be with him. So, and I wasn't, deep down I wasn't happy because I was in a relationship. In the beginning it was very good. It was like great.
Looking for love in the wrong way, wasn't it?
Exactly. So that's how I was. So I was very happy in the beginning, but then, I was still very sad inside, very hurt, very angry. I was very, very angry. I used to swear in every sentence I would.
Oh, wow. So it wasn't helping you. It was actually making the situation worse.
Yes, because then at some stage he started to, I believe he was having an affair. I never caught him red-handed, but I saw some messages on his phone. He denied it, so I just left it like that. But still, with all of that, I still stayed with him, even though I had suspicions that he was cheating. So, and that's how it was. I was so angry with him, and eventually I started to seek help elsewhere. You know, I started to go for the right kind of counseling. I started to talk about it. You know, even when I was speaking about it in the beginning, I would be crying. Now I can talk about it, but before I would cry.
You can even talk about it on television now.
Amazing. I mean, we have so much respect for you.
Yeah, so before I would cry, Miss Sam, honestly, I would cry. You know, one sentence I'll be crying. That woman, I hate her, blah, blah, blah. That's how I was. I was a very angry person, you know, very insecure. It also affected, I didn't have friends because I was locked in the house. I didn't know how to socialize. I didn't know how to be a friend. I just there, like I didn't really know how to be a human being. So I was really lost in my mind.
And I think one of the problems is that as women, we don't want the ugly things exposed about us.
That's it, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because we don't want people to paint us in the wrong light, isn't it? We want people to see us in a good way. So I think that's why a lot of women probably take so long to speak about it for these very reasons.
It's also for protection, to protect yourself as well. Yeah. Because you don't want to. You are afraid to come out of the I believe you were afraid to come out of the relationship you went to, because what were you gonna go after?
Exactly.
Unless someone else comes and takes you away from that relationship and shows you another kind of world where you can promise you another kind of world, then you will come out.
Exactly.
I mean, touch on a little bit about yourself, because I know that you went through a form of abuse as well. So, I mean, was it physical abuse or was it verbal abuse?
It was physical, but mostly was verbal and emotional. And it started when I was young as well. So what I believe that most of women that go through abuse is because they had some kind of abuse when they were a child. Because it wasn't as, you know, as much as Tiveri's went through. But my mom were always, but my mom was always, you know, putting me in a corner, or you just be quiet, you're nothing, look at your brother, comparing me all the time. Me and my brother would never go on. He used to beat me up all the time, even that he's only 2 years older than me. But that's how I was like neglected at home.
Yes. And so that caused you to lose self-esteem for yourself and actually grow as a woman. So as you grew to become a woman, you became lack of confidence.
Yes. So So when I was 18, I ran away from home.
Really?
With my son's dad, yeah, because I wanted to escape. And where would I go otherwise, by myself?
And I think that's the worst type of escapism, if I could say. You're escaping not by choice, but because you feel you don't have no ulterior motive. There's nothing else for you. So it's like I either stay in this abuse, or I go off with that person, so you're running from abuse to abuse.
Basically, from one prison to another prison. That's how I felt. And I left him, you know, several times we broke up. I left him and I was homeless, you know, I was sleeping I lived in north, south, east, west. I've slept in friends, this friend, that friend, you know, until I finally went to social services. I was 17 at the time, and they put me into a hostel. And I was there for just over a year before I was given my permanent place. So, but this guy, I didn't know anything else. So he was always in my life, you know? So it's hard to break away from something when you don't know anything else. You don't know any other way.
Yes.
I mean, Taberi made a very valid point. It's hard to break away from something when you don't know anything else. So, I mean, you at one point got fed up because, you know, there were times when you leave and then you come back, you leave and then you come back. Going back to you, Yolanda, when did the penny drop? When did you think, okay, I shouldn't be taking this kind of abuse from him. This is not right. And then what did you do?
That started when I had no choice and I started to work. So I started to gain confidence because I was very hard work. So people at work used to boost up my confidence. Used to, oh, you're very good. You work so good. I used to work for hours. I used to do everything really well. So they were impressed. So I was happy there. So I started talking to friends, and because I was in London, I didn't know how the system worked either. So, but when I start socializing and meeting people, they actually start telling me, you know, you can get help here, you can get help there, or you're very good at this, you're very good at that. I started to do courses by myself. I started to meet more and more people, and that's when I said, hang on a minute, you know, there's a world out there that I can reach out. I don't have. I can be independent. You know,
so before then you felt dependent.
Yeah. So it's about boosting this women's confidence. Is, you know, each one of us, we have talents, we have skills, we are special, but we are valuable.
Yeah,
so
valuable.
We just need to find. You know, we need to have people around, socialize, get out of that.
I know you're saying that, but for many women out there, it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
And many women out there don't just find it so easy to say, yeah, I can get out there, I'm going to go and mix with friends and things like that. There is stepping stones that one needs to take if you've been through abuse, or if you're a survivor from abuse. Then I think it's really important that you do talk about it. But you mentioned about that you spoke to friends. Now, my advice to many of the women out there, it's not advisable just to speak to anyone about abuse. Yes. Would you not agree with me?
Mind you, 3 years down the line, when I got out of that relationship, I end up in the even worse one.
Oh my gosh! So you went from one prison to another prison.
It was just temporary. Yeah. So that's why I agree with you. I agree with you. It's not because of friends that they're gonna help you boost up your confidence, and that's it. No, you need to deal with what is left inside, with the pain and with the hurt that is being.
It's important to speak to the right people, isn't it? And there are many organisations out there where, you know, I mean, sometimes if you go on even our website, the viewers out there, you can go on our website and you can see organisations that you can get help from. You know, I know that even in the past when I went through my traumas, I was able to get help from organisations like Rahab, and these organisations really helped my self-esteem. And I think this is why it's important not to speak, because if you speak with the wrong person, it can make the situation rather worse, and they can in actual fact advise you wrong.
Even worse, they can go back and tell the perpetrator.
and
is
you
what you definitely don't
may
want.
put
Yeah,
yourself
that's right.
in further risk. I know many women that have, because they've been abused, they've ended up speaking to the wrong person, and that person has guided them in the wrong way. And
Yeah.
because their self-esteem is so low, they've ended up going into prostitution.
Yeah.
And this is a fact. So this is why it's important to speak with professionals, speak to people who you know you can trust, who can lead you to maybe an organisation that can help.
Yeah.
So if you're watching and you're thinking, okay, so where do I begin? I'm so angry. I've been through so much. You know, you don't think no one understands you. You know, you really have to, like Miss Ann was saying, speak to a professional. Speak to a professional and learn to forgive. Learn to
Love that.
yes, forgive. You know,
Why do you say
let
that?
go.
Because do you know why I'm saying forgive? Because some people might see it as a double-edged sword. If you end up forgiving the person, you could potentially go back to the perpetrator so that they can harm you again. So when you say forgive, what do you mean by forgive? Because, for example, say I'm a woman sat down at home, I'm watching this program and I know the perpetrator is there, or I've left the perpetrator and then I hear this and I think forgive. Am I now going to run back to that same perpetrator again?
No, absolutely
I just wanted
not.
to clarify that because we have to be careful when we say forgive. So what did you mean by forgive?
When I mean forgive, because you know what, when you allow the situation to still affect you, you are the one that is suffering.
You become the victim,
You
don't
become
you?
the victim,
That's
yes.
right.
And you know, when I say forgive, it's not for you to go back to the abuser because they were the one that abused you. You know, so they are the one that need to change. So you just need to let go of that, you know, and stop expecting anything from them and see that, okay, this is your life and you have to make the most out of it. You know, you can use what you've been through as a stepping stone. You could allow it to either make you a stronger and better person or you could allow it to destroy you. And I chose, in fact, I allowed it to destroy me for a very long time. And it was very hard because I didn't have any foundation to build my life. You know, I didn't have the normal foundation.
What would you say would be the foundation that you would have wanted and you didn't have?
I would have wanted, you know, family. Even if my mother and father was not together, it's not a problem. I would like a mother that would tell me, give me compliments, you're
Right.
beautiful, you're this, you're gonna do well, encouragement, but I got the opposite. So everything I had to learn to now begin to believe in myself, because I was now surrounded with positive people. I started to speak to people who can actually help me, who
broke
understood
the
me.
silence.
Yes. So with that, I learned to see my mother as a person. She has her own issues to deal with. I can't force her to change. She has to change herself. I can only let go and build my own life, you know, find strength from somewhere and, you know, from the help. There's so much help out. The rehab group.
I mean, I really promote this with a lot of women because, as you said, there's so many groups, so many help out there for women who have been through abuse, and it doesn't matter what type of abuse. I mean, I myself, I always look for events to attend myself because because I've been through abuse myself, and I know where you girls are coming from. I feel that I have a purpose to help other women, to help them to show them that, look, you don't need to remain in this way. So I go to events. This is the time now where we are breaking the silence, and there's an event that's coming up. I'm going to an event myself next week, which is it's all about breaking the silence. And in actual fact, this rehab is one of the organizations that promotes the breaking of the silence. And this is why I go to those kind of events, because I know that I can invite friends, I can invite family. And even if you're a person who hasn't been through abuse, you know, it's also important that if you go into a relationship, or, you know, you're able to tell
and
the telltale signs. Because there's always signs. With when I was in an abusive relationship for that period of time in my life, the signs were there. And you've got to be able to see those signs from an early stage. And if it need be, get out before it gets too far. And these kind of events, that's what you get taught. You get taught to what kind of signs do you need to look for in you know, in terms of abuse.
Yeah.
And it helps.
Yeah,
And just to add,
Sorry,
you
go on.
have people who you can actually speak to. It doesn't matter. It may take you a long time. It doesn't matter. So long as you get there, that's the whole idea.
That's
so
it.
even if you have to cry every single time you speak to someone, that's okay. Even if it takes 2-3 years, it's okay. You know, you're healing. It's fine. So these people, they're there for you. You know, they're there to listen to you because they believe in you. They want you to get over it. So don't think, oh, but I don't want to bore people. I've been speaking to a lot of people. No one seems to understand. Come, try the Rahab, I would say, or try any other organization. And don't be embarrassed to speak from now until tomorrow or now until 2 years' time. So long as it takes you, it doesn't matter how long it takes. So long as you get there, you'll be fine. Keep speaking.
Because
that's what I keep
aren't we
saying.
the beautiful survivors?
Yes.
Look at you. Beautiful.
And you know what? I was even thinking, I mean, I've been very, very fortunate I've had to experience what you have experienced, but the knowledge, I think, is very empowering, because I now know if I've got a sister, if I've got a friend, if I've got a cousin, an aunt, mother, God forbid, but you know, anyone who happens to go through that form of abuse, I can also see those telltale signs and help them as well.
That is exactly
and help them to get out.
It could be your sister, your
It could
cousin.
be anyone. It could even be your next door neighbour. Maybe.
Be your neighbour.
Yeah, you see those telltale signs, but you just can't tell. And that's what I wanted to even conclude with today. I wanted to say to you, women and even men out there, regardless of if the abuse is emotional, physical, financial, mental, whatever the form of abuse may be, it is not normal and it's not acceptable. You are valuable, you are special, and you don't need to go through that. So know that it's not normal, and if you feel that this situation is ugly and there's no form of help, like Tiveri said, there are many organisations that are willing to help. And also, we are here to help you get in contact with those organisations as well. So if you do feel like there's someone that you want to contact or you want to speak to, feel free to send an email to comments@dkw.me, and we'll be more than happy to forward them on to organisations or get in touch and help you. But remember, you can start by breaking that silence. So I hope you've had a fab Sunday with us today. We've really enjoyed ourselves. Tiveri and Yolanda, thank you very, very much for coming on and for being brave enough to share your stories. We'll be back next week, Sunday at 4 p.m. You have a great Sunday afternoon. Bye-bye.